66 million years ago, Earth met its executioner. From the depths of space, a mountain-sized asteroid, roughly the size of Mount Everest, hurtled toward our blue planet, locked on a collision course that would mark the end of an entire era. But contrary to what you might imagine, the extinction of the dinosaurs wasn't just a sudden, explosive demise. No, what followed was an agonizing spiral into darkness, fire, and death. This is the story of how a single impact triggered Earth's most colossal tsunami, and how it reshaped the destiny of life itself. Brace yourself. We're diving headfirst into the most cataclysmic day in the history of the planet. The killer rock from space was about 10 kilometers, 6 miles, in diameter, and it wasn't crawling its way here. It was screaming through the void at an astonishing speed of up to 30 kilometers per second. That's 18 miles per second. To put that in perspective, it was traveling so fast that the very air ahead of it ignited, superheating as it descended. In its final moments before impact, the asteroid blazed with temperatures rivaling the surface of the sun. It took mere seconds from the time it breached Earth's atmosphere to when it delivered the blow that changed everything. The impact zone? The shallow seas off the coast of what is now the Yucatán Peninsula in Mexico. And then it struck. The explosion released energy equivalent to over 1 billion Hiroshima bombs. A blinding flash, a deafening shockwave, and then silence. Everything within thousands of kilometers was vaporized instantly. Earth's crust fractured like glass beneath a hammer. Molten rock and dust were blasted skyward, punching a hole straight through the stratosphere. The initial devastation was just the beginning. Minutes later, hell rained from the sky. Superheated shards of molten glass and rock, thrown into the upper atmosphere by the impact, came plummeting back down. These fragments ignited the sky, triggering continent-wide wildfires. Forests turned to ash. Entire ecosystems were consumed in firestorms. And then came the water. The shock from the impact radiated across the world's oceans. All that unimaginable energy needed somewhere to go, and it found its answer in water. A wall of ocean, taller than a 3-story building, rose from the depths. But this wasn't just a tsunami. This was a planetary pulse, a mega-tsunami, surging with a force 30,000 times greater than anything we see today. It ripped across the Atlantic and surged into the Pacific. It didn't just flood coastlines, it erased them. Shorelines were redrawn. Islands vanished. Whole regions were scoured clean. If you were anywhere near it, you wouldn't have seen it coming. You wouldn't have had time to run. You would have been gone. It's a warning. In the aftermath of the cataclysmic impact, Earth wasn't just wounded, it was gutted. With the skies darkened and sunlight blocked by a suffocating veil of dust and ash, the world descended into an unrecognizable version of itself. Photosynthesis, the lifeblood of all plant life, came to a grinding halt. One by one, forests fell silent. Meadows turned gray. Plants withered into ash, unable to produce the energy needed to survive. And with the collapse of plant life came the unraveling of the food web. Herbivores starved. Carnivores turned desperate. And those few survivors who dodged the firestorm were now up against a much slower, colder execution. And then, the skies cried acid. For years, acidic rain poured from above, seeping into soils, rivers, lakes, even the oceans. Marine ecosystems, once teeming with dazzling life, became chemical wastelands. The oceans grew acidic beyond what most species could tolerate. Coral reefs dissolved. Shells eroded. Entire species vanished before they had the chance to adapt. In the end, about 75% of life on Earth vanished. An extinction so thorough it erased entire branches from the tree of life. But not everything lost was mourned. Among the vanished was a certain toothy, thunderous predator, the infamous Tyrannosaurus rex. Sure, it was magnificent, but let's be honest, none of us are lining up to meet one on a hike through the woods. The reign of the dinosaurs had ended. Their age, their legacy, their thunder, all buried in layers of ash and silence. Earth became a ghost of itself. Cold, barren, haunted, and then something stirred. Not all life had perished. A few survivors remained, resilient, tenacious, small. Life didn't retreat. It reinvented. 1,000 years later, the planet was still wrapped in a nuclear-like winter. But hints of green began to return. Ferns, those hardy, ancient plants, were among the first to paint the world with life again. They weren't just survivors. They were pioneers of a new age. Fast forward another 100,000 years, and Earth was cautiously waking up from its long nightmare. Tiny, fur-covered creatures scampering, hiding, adapting began to explore this wild, open world. With dinosaurs gone, a power vacuum had formed, and nature does not tolerate a void for long. 10 million years passed, and the world had transformed. This wasn't the age of dinosaurs anymore. This was the age of mammals. Where once titans roamed, now came the rise of the clever, the warm-blooded, the adaptable. Raccoon-sized mammals became wolves, deer, apes, and, eventually, us. Earth buzzed with birdsong and flower blooms. Ecosystems evolved in wild, unpredictable directions. But the world was far from tame. It had new giants now. Paraceratherium, a hornless beast taller than giraffes. Megalodon, a monstrous shark that made modern great whites look like minnows. Earth was still a place of awe, still a place of terror. But it was alive. Alive in ways it had never been before. And while these ancient monsters have vanished, their legacy lingers. They remind us how fragile life can be, and how fierce the fight to survive truly is. Today, we don't face an asteroid, but we do face a different threat. One forged not in space, but by our own hands: climate change, habitat destruction, pollution. The crisis may be quieter than a fireball from the sky, but its damage could be just as permanent. Yet hope is not lost. Out there, in the real world, there are people who fight not with weapons, but with purpose. People like the team behind modern guardians of our Earth. While we scroll, they plant. While we despair, they restore. Forests, reefs, oceans, they're healing them, one mission at a time. Like avengers of the environment, only without the capes. Every month, they release powerful stories, saving coral reefs, pulling garbage from the ocean's depths, turning dying lands into blooming sanctuaries. And their message is clear: we can do better. We just have to act. So maybe, just maybe, we don't have to follow the dinosaurs into extinction. Maybe this time we save our world before it burns. Be inspired. Take action. Because this Earth, it's still worth fighting for.